Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey everybody, here in the Southern Command. Wonder when Rush Limbaugh ever admits like it's no longer the Southern Command, it's like the primary command. Does he ever go back to New York to broadcast? Anyway, I'm in Florida too. We have a video request, and as always, if you have a request, doesn't have to be video, it could be an email, it's something private, something's bothering you. You don't trust the adults. Isn't that sad? You don't trust the adults, but you don't trust me. Presumably an adult, but not maturely or intelligence-wise. Go to assholeconsulting.com, we'll help you out. Hey asshole, I got a simple question about libertarian policies to follow up on the video you just made about fake socialist libertarians who want to vote for Sanders, etc. Do labor rights and corporate regulation to prevent rampant exploitation have any part in libertarian ideas? The only thing I don't quite get with this political movement is what would sweatshop-style exploitation be like we had in the textile mills and coal mines back in the 1910s and 1920s. Is there any workers' rights regulations on employers at all, or is it just a matter of you don't like that employer, just don't work there and let the free market sort it all out? Also, would there be any level of anti-pollution regulation on companies, or would they just have free reign to do whatever the fuck they wanted? These are the only two points about libertarianism I don't quite get, and would really like to hear your 2 cents. Name me a price and I'll pay. Best regards, Sam. Well, thanks for the email, Sam. All right, here's the problem you're going to run into libertarians. They all think they speak for them all, authoritatively for the party. I don't dare to do that because I know the libertarians are like way the fuck out there. I mean, not politically. I mean, they're spread. There's very differing opinions. And as you noted, there's libertarian socialists where I will crack the whip and say, no, you're just a fucking socialist. Anyway, getting back to this, it depends on who you're going to talk to. Now, I have my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm like what you would consider the small government minarchist type guy. I'm not one of these idiots that think the world can exist without governments. It's called anarchy. It doesn't work. And inevitably, some power man comes in, says, no government, you can't raise an army effectively, boom! And then, you're taken over by whoever. So there are the pure libertarians who I think are kind of like conspiracy theorists. Not that they themselves are conspiracy theorists, but they share some of the same intellectual flaws. They don't really believe in anarchy because they think it's feasible or would work or would be ideal. They want to believe in it because it's cool and it's something to make them look cool in front of other people at parties because they're lacking in some other accomplishments or capacity or value or worth as a human being. So those are your academians, and you're like, the guy who's like smoking pot. Yeah, man, I'm a libertarian. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. Or my favorite, an anarcho-socialist. Those are the really fucking stupid ones. It's like, do you not know what these letters or these words mean? Do you not know anything? Anyway, so let's take those guys out and let's go kind of more mainstream libertarianism. In theory, the free market will solve most of anything. And depending on which libertarian you talk to, depends on most of anything is. Most of the libertarians you're going to run into are probably like me, at least the same ones, where it's like, yes, we need a military. Yes, there are bad people out to hurt us. Yes, we need a legal system. Yes, it's pretty good to have some roads, probably in the hands of the public. Yes, there should be a judicial system, and so forth and so on. You get beyond that, where it's like, you go beyond public goods, then you start losing libertarians, where it's like, whoa, welfare? Regulation? What? And regulation is not one of those black and white things. It's kind of like, well, wait a minute, would not the free market kind of figure this out? Kind of like, or is this something that we absolutely need, like a defense? We have to mount defense. Here comes the Chinese. Oh my God, Stefan Molyneux and all the anarcho-capitalists have their slingshots, and the Chinese are like, I'm kidding, Stefan. So the regulation, though, that kind of, where does that fit? So ideally, in theory, it would work itself all. And I'm more prone to lean that way. One thing that really angers me, and I just don't get, because I went through it myself, is I wish the American public would wake up and say, fuck you. Like my first job out of college, I made $30,000 a year. I should have just said, fuck you. I'll go on welfare. And that's one thing where actually a socialist policy would actually help people do this, where it's like, what? You're offering how little? Nah, I'm going on welfare. So in a sense, it would kind of make everyone join kind of like the union of welfare. If you had, or a union of self-respect, like, you want me to work for how little? No, fuck you. This is where I'm not necessarily against strikes. This is where I'm not necessarily against unions. If you want to form a union and you think the employers are not paying enough, yeah, not too bad. Because as you're going to find out, I hate employers just as much as I hate unions. So ideally, let the unions form, let the corporations form. This is ideal world. They battle it out. Maybe have a national board of labor relations or national labor board, whatever it is. Kind of like, okay, let's come together and talk. Maybe the government would serve as an arbiter or a mediator. But you let them duke it out. We don't care as long as you're like not killing, some safety things, and you can't be filling your concrete with nuclear waste and stuff like that. When it comes to the pollution and environment here, ironically enough, I actually side with the environmentalists, the organics, the greens, and everything else. The reason why is because there is such a movement and a push now to have corporations be good corporate, social, responsible corporations, be good corporate citizens, that you would have nonprofits starting to form that would certify you. They would start to self-regulate. And if you wanted to prove that you were, we'd already do this with, as much as I mock it and laugh at it, fair trade coffee and organic certified coffee. Here's a perfect example where the government wasn't involved. I forget what organization is. They look at the process by which the coffee gets here. They look at what they're paying. They go all the way from Bolivia, all the way to the delivery. Say, is this certified organic? Is this a fair trade or fair labor? Again, I don't necessarily have to agree with it. I could think it's a bunch of fucking hokum. But you know what? Government ain't involved. In Minneapolis, there's this coffee store. They sell peace coffee. It's like, no, actually, it's not right-handed. It's so gay, it's left-handed. That's how bad. It's like, peace coffee. And I want to do this private label called War Coffee. It wasn't. I looked into the numbers. It wasn't worth it. Anyway, so you can make fun of it, but that's great. That's perfect. You know what? I don't care if you're a bunch of hippies selling your fucking certified right. That's good, because you didn't have the fucking government come in. You didn't jack up my taxes. We didn't have to pay for a bunch of bureaucrats to organize it or regulate the industry. So that's fine by me. So when it comes to pollution and the environment and all that, I think the infrastructure is already there. I think all these protesters and activists would actually serve a real role instead of bitching and whining and moaning and just protesting and slowing things down. They would actually do a lot to not just make sure that things were fair, organic and green, and you're not dumping waste and you could even parlay that into labor, like, hey, you're a certified corporation, and then every one of these consumers, they want organic unless it's Chipotle. Now people don't want Chipotle so much anymore. So that's ideal world. You let people handle it. Now here's the problem. Then there's the real world. And what you have to realize, and this is a kind of a dichotomy people on the right and libertarians kind of fall into, and that is, if you're in the private sector, you're good, and if you're in the public sector, you're bad and evil. And what you got to realize is that we're all shit. Governments, corporations, nonprofits, educators, labor unions, we all pull from the exact same pool, the exact same cesspool of shit known as humanity, known as America. And it's not like more moral people go into corporations in the private sector. It's not like less moral people go into government. Everyone's shit. And what I have found, especially working in banking, we saw that, guys, where, okay, we're going to deregulate, we're going to get rid of the Glass-Steagall Act. And then they just fucked everybody over. Not intentionally. I think they're too stupid to do it intentionally, but the banks and the mortgage brokers and the realtors just fucked everyone over. And it's stuff like that, and you guys have seen this too. Heck, we even had a client down in Australia where his employer was not paying him the minimum wage. I said, you got to report him. No, I don't know if I... Again, the lack of self-respect humans have, employees have, to stand up to their employers. Any case, you'll have corrupt politicians, you'll have corrupt corporate leaders. This then leads into lobbying. The formation of cartels, both for unions and for corporations and employers. Lawsuits to snuff out the little guy. Collusion. they're scum. People are scum. And it doesn't help that the government employees and the bureaucrats and the politicians their palms can get greased pretty easily, and so it screws over the common people. So here's where, I mean, there's theory and then there's practice, and I've lived old and long enough. You do need a certain amount of regulatory or regulations coming out from the government. It is my opinion that if you leave things to their own devices, it's not that individuals won't battle it out in the free market. It's not that the free market won't work. It's that you will have, kind of like during the trust-busting days of Teddy Roosevelt, trusts and cartels will form. They will, nothing illegal, but they'll do immoral things. They'll take their weight and leverage it so they can say, well, we'll just move the jobs over here. And the unions have done the same thing. I mean, how many millions of kids, hundreds of millions of kids over the decades have suffered because the teachers' union is just a big-ass fucking cartel and an arm of the Democrat Party. So here's where you do need kind of an element of Teddy Roosevelt trust-busting, what's in the best interest of the people. But that is the problem. That's the key thing. You need an honest guy like Teddy Roosevelt to come in and bust this shit up and think about the people. And that is so rare on the side of the government that, once they get lobbied, once they get, Chesapeake Energy can do this. We're going to get rid of that XL pipeline because we don't want oil, we want natural gas. It all hinges upon having a true statesman at the head of these regulatory agencies to not be corruptible, to not be bribable, and then to lay down some regulations that makes it fair in terms of opportunity, not outcome, to everybody. And a very hands-off approach, like if there's something like, the CPA people, okay, you guys can certify your own accounts. The government doesn't need to be in that in terms of licensure. Medical profession, we don't need to be in that. You guys take care of it. So wherever we can get rid of it, we can. But as I've seen, like I said, with corporate employees, especially with the banks, and then the fact that government itself is corrupt, people are fucking scum, and they're going to fuck people over no matter what. No matter how they can, there's always going to be somebody to try and fuck you over. And you put them in charge of a corporation or a government or Congress or just a division or a department, they will. They'll use their power to fuck people over. So that's where ideally you'd have truly benevolent government, truly statesman-like government coming in, and that's where you would have to have just a little bit of regulation. So that's just my opinion. Now, I know every libertarian who's an anarchist is like probably, having palpitations in the heart. That's not a real libertarian. Like the MGTOW. You're not a MGTOW. You only ride motorcycles and fuck women and drink and smoke and go on boats and drive to Alaska and climb mountains and do what you want. But you kissed a girl and you're a pussy pedestaler. You can't be MGTOW. So it's like that. Just my opinion. But as we're starting to see empirically speaking, so after 40 years of Aaron Clary on the planet, his opinion is good as truth and gold. It's fact. I won't be that arrogant. It's getting damn close to that, though. Pretty damn close. So, anyway, any of you guys got any other questions, or you need some a little more personal in nature and private consultation, always go to assholeconsulting.com. We'll set you straight. Toodles.